On your PC or your laptop, wherever your icon is for your Photoshop, click on it once or double click on it and initiate the startup. Once you start up, it should be something similar to this. Okay, once you get to this screen, I'm using version 2018, so mine might be slightly different to yours, okay, depending on the version that you're using. To create a new document, within my version there's 4 different methods, okay, and I'll go through them swiftly one by one. First method would be to go to File, click on New. It should give you a pop-up box, and there's your pop-up box. Okay, another way would be to create this icon here. It says Create New. Click on it once. It gives you exactly the same thing. Third method would be Create New here. It gives you a pop-up box, exactly the same thing. Last but not least, the shortcut key would be Control and N. So if you go to File, and if you look next to New, it says Control and N. That's the shortcut keys. So all these keys that you see to the right side are the shortcut keys, okay? But you'll get to know them over time. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be using this key here. Click on it. It should give us a pop-up box. First and foremost, get into the habit of naming class 2, naming your document. My units are going to be pixels for this particular tutorial. I prefer working in pixels. Width of 2000, height of 2000, a portrait orientation is what I'm going to get. 300 resolutions, and it's going to be 300 pixels per inch. The rest of the stuff, options here, I will leave as per standard, and I will hit create, which will take me to my workspace. Okay. On the left side you have your toolbar or toolbars, however you prefer, and on the right side you have your panels. Okay, so for this class we're going to be working with the Marquee tools: rectangular, elliptical, single row and single column. These are your 4 options within your Marquee tools. Now this is, as I say, it's part of the selection group. Now when I say group, what I mean by that is your Marquee tools are part of the selections. Your lasso tool, polygonal and magnetic, is also part of the selection, and your quick selection and magic wand are also part of the selection tool group. So within these 3, I would classify these as the selection tools. Okay, but for this particular tutorial we're going to be working with the Marquee tools. And what I mean by Marquee is, it says rectangular Marquee tool, elliptical Marquee tool, single row Marquee tool and a single column Marquee tool. Okay, right, so let's get cracking. Make sure your Marquee tool is highlighted, and if you want to create a size, hold down, so whichever point that you want to start from, left click down on your mouse and drag your mouse to the size or specific size that you require, whether it's this size, this size, this size, this size, this size, or this size, whatever size you require. Once you get to your size, release the left click and it should give you these dots known as marching ants. Okay, now once you've created a selection, what's within the selection, it's active, and what's outside it, for example this left side here is outside it, this right side is outside the marching ants, this top bit here is outside, and all the bottom bit here is outside the marching ants. This is not your active area. You can only work within this because this is your active area. Now what I mean by this is, for example, let's pick up brush tool. If I wanted to paint something in, I will not be allowed to paint anywhere else apart from inside my active area. Okay, active area is active, and I can only work within my active area, and it will not allow me to paint or do anything outside. that active area. So if I wanted to change and I wanted to say paint it red, I can paint it, but only within my active area. Hopefully that concept is clear. Now, whatever rules or principles or functions that we apply to the rectangular marquee tool, most if not all, will apply to the elliptical marquee tool as well. Now, what is elliptical marquee tool? If you hold the left click down and just drag your mouse, it just creates a circle or an oval shape for you. Now, once again, the same rules will apply. What's within these marching ants is your active area, and what's outside it is not your active area. So if I paint outside, it will not allow me, and if I paint, I can only paint within it. So if I swap my paints around and I try to paint outside, it will not allow me to paint outside the active area. So keep in mind, once you make a selection with the marquee tool, whatever selection you make, what's within the marching ants is your active area, what's outside it is not your active area. Okay, right. Each of these tools have extra functions which you can utilize. Now, for example, if I click on my move tool, you see this top, it gives me different options which relate to that particular tool. So if I go into my marquee tool, it gives me these options here, which we will discuss in a short while. Okay, now swiftly moving on. For example, you wanted to create more than one selection. I've created a selection, and when I try to create a new selection, what happens? My previous selection disappears, or gets deleted, or gets wiped out, but it disappears. Okay, and it will give me a new selection. Say I wanted that selection back. When I try to create another selection, the one previous to this selection will disappear. Why? What the hell is going on, you might be thinking, but do not worry. If you look up here, you've got 4 options. Now if you hover your mouse over the first option, it says new selection. So every time, as long as this is highlighted, every time I try to create a selection, the previous selection will disappear or get deleted, however you want to see it. Okay, the second one in, if you hover your mouse over it, it says add to selection. Now whichever selection you choose, make sure that selection is highlighted. If I create a selection now, I would like to keep the selection and create a new one. I have to make sure my add to selection is highlighted at the top. If that is highlighted, my previous selection will remain and it will give me a new selection. And with this tab highlighted, I can create as many selections as required. Okay, so hopefully you understood how to create more than one selection. The next tab along would be subtract from selection. So let's go here. We've created a selection, and let's create some extra add to selections. And let's do one here, and let's do one here. So now that we've created this shape, the third option along would be subtract from selection. Now all that means is whatever new selection I make, for example, if I left click down now and I've created this new selection, this box that I'm working with now. Okay, now what's within this new box is my active area. Now what that actually means is what's within that new selection I'm creating will get deleted. What's outside it will remain. You see? So what was inside that new selection got deleted. What was outside it remained. Okay, let's go one back. And last but not least would be the intersect with selection. Now all that is exactly opposite to the subtract. In the subtract, what was within it gets deleted. In the intersect, what's within it remains. What's outside my selection now will get deleted. So here's my selection, this box here, as you can see. Now what's within it will remain. What's outside it will actually get deleted. So if I release my left click, there you see. So these two work as opposites to each other. Subtract what's within, intersect what's outside it. Let's swiftly move on to styles. Okay, once you click down styles or drop down styles, you got three options: normal, fixed ratio, fixed size. We were currently working with normal, which means you determine. That's because it's giving me this error because I have intersect selected, so I must be here. So for example, we were working with normal. Normal is where you, with your either tablet or your mouse, you determine the size of the area that you require. A second option down would be fixed ratio. Ratio of 1 to 1. Most people will understand that 1 to 1 is a square. No matter what I do, how big I make it, it'll always end up as a square because of the ratio of 1 to 1. Okay. To swap these figures around, you've got these arrows in the middle of the two. Between the width and the height, you've got these arrows. If you hover your mouse over it, it highlights. If you click it once, these figures will change. So height becomes 2, width becomes 1. So now whatever I do, my height will be twice as big as or long as my width. Okay. And last but not least would be the fixed size. The fixed size is, as it says, fixed size. So let's work with, I was working with a document 500 by 900 on a previous tutorial. So normally it comes with 64 pixels, I think, with 64 pixels. Now here you've determined the size, a fixed size. The advantage of using this, if you know what your sizes are, you can put these figures in here, one click, and it will generate or create that size for you. For example, let's go 640 by 400 pixels. Now that's the size I need. Okay, so if I need that size, I can put my pixels in there, I can put my units in there. One click on wherever I require that, it will generate my size, my selection for me. Okay, according to the size that I've actually inserted. Okay, hopefully that concept has become clear in your heads of how to utilize these features. We'll end the class here. As time goes on and you become more familiar with these tool sets that Adobe Photoshop provides, once you get to know most of these tools, you'll be well on your way to becoming a professional Adobe Photoshop user. So until the next time, take care of yourselves, do your practice runs, and we'll see you in class 3.